No. Good morning, Lourdes.
Good morning, Maria. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Terrific.
Awesome.
Very good.
So, welcome back to Coaching Conversations, and I'm Maria Sabio.
And I'm Lourdes Leeper. Thanks for joining us once again. And be sure to watch to the end where we always share some practical practices. Today, we're tackling something that we all face, but few of us are really taught how to handle it. And this is staying steady when life keeps crashing down on us.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, everybody has those days. We all know those days when, your plans unravel, relationships unravel, when things get rocky, and your body or mind, you feel overwhelmed. Then just when you think you're steady again, bam, something else happens, another wave hits you. But in Stoicism with Marcus Aurelius, he calls us to be the headline or the breakwater, not the ship that rocks and tosses. We're steady, we're a cliff. We're not the sand that washes away. We have to be the rock the waves break around, standing steady, no matter what.
Yeah, I love the image of that. Oftentimes in meditation, I'll use the analogy of an anchor, right?
Right.
To keep yourself steady and safe as the ship in a stormy sea, right? And if you've ever done any boating, you know that if things are getting dangerous out there, you want to drop your anchor. But this is
Yeah.
really powerful in terms of like being the rock that the waves crash around, break water.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's
Right.
really fabulous, and it's an amazing skill to cultivate. Right. So if you're hearing this and you're like, "That's not me," it's something that you can cultivate. It's something that you can develop a practice, and we'll unpack what it really means, how to build it, and how modern science backs this up so that you can reclaim your calm right now.
Right. Yeah, because it's not really what happens. That's not the problem. It's how we're being, right? So life is going to get messy. You get fired, maybe your health dips, or your kids fight, or you're fighting with your husband, something happens at work. The world can feel really unstable. And basically the waves never stop. But the key here is that the waves themselves aren't your problem. The headland, the breakwater, doesn't control the waves. It just stands firm through them.
Yeah, because in life we're all going to encounter those situations that uncertainty, instability, a lack of control, a lack of information. But when we're the headland, right, the breakwater, we're resilient, and it starts with how your nervous system reacts, right? So neuroscientist Andrew Huberman teaches that breath work, for example, that is especially slow, deep nasal exhales, that tells your brain that you're safe. And sometimes, we go offline when we're faced with a stressor, right?
Hmm.
We kind of go offline, and our caveman brain kind of takes over, and we're like in danger. We feel like it's not safe. But something like deep breathing, something like a mindfulness practice, coming back to your breath, or another anchor of choice will help you come back online so that you're not panicking or shutting down, and you can stay steady and calm and ready. And that's your biological headland.
Right. And, just a little bit towards that, I think that we don't realize that we could be in a state of fight or flight and that might be our constant state. So if you're easily triggered, if you are triggered and you get angry, or you're triggered and you feel overwhelmed, that's an indicator that you're not centered, that you're not grounded, that you're not anchored, whatever metaphor you want to use. Because if your trigger is so tight, then you are in a state of fight or flight. And it's important that if you make a practice of, as Lourdes said, taking these deep breaths in and letting them out. And one of the things that in Eastern wisdom is Lao Tzu, he wrote, "The soft overcomes the hard. The quiet overcomes the loud." That soft, quiet center, that's your strength. And that's your right to be calm. So next time that stress hits you, try it. Pause, breathe slow. No judgment. Just let the wave come. Let it break, but you don't have to break with it.
Absolutely. And, when this idea of being in survival mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can flip the story and remind ourselves that it's powerful and resilient to not be distressed by the waves, right? To stand firm, to be that headland. And this is cognitive reappraisal. Changing your interpretation of an event changes your emotional reaction. Marie and I work with clients all the time that, need to find a way to, and we help them find a way to change their interpretation of what is happening in their life and see it differently so that they can respond differently to the circumstance, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's not that things are good or bad. It's that how you see them makes them good or bad. So you lose your job, you can say that's awful, or you can stay grounded through it and interpret it as that's growth. You learn how to pivot. And if you're in a state of fight or flight, your reaction is going to be entirely different than a person that is in homeostasis, who is calm. They're able to pivot easily. And the person that is not in homeostasis, who's in fight and flight, they're going to become overwhelmed. They're going to allow their mind to make them a victim of the circumstance, instead of seeing it as a potential change that is good for them. And I'm not saying don't listen to your emotions. You have to validate your emotions. But once you've validated that feeling, that rejection, maybe that humiliation, whatever that might be, at the end of the day, our last human freedom is choosing our attitude. So we go from validating our emotion and allowing ourselves to feel what we feel, and then we get from the amygdala and go back to the frontal cortex, and we choose our attitude.
Right. And this idea of choosing our attitude, that's something that you don't have to wait to be in a situation where stuff is coming at you. It's something that you can actually begin a practice of at any time so that you're able to choose your attitude.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you can, generally like just flick a switch. It's a practice.
Right.
And also, oftentimes people have a habit loop, right? Where they have associations that are negative with things that, like regular occurrences, like taking out the garbage, for example. If you have to take out the garbage every Wednesday night and you're grumbling the whole way, then you're going to quickly form a negative association with that task, even though you're going to have to do it next Wednesday and the Wednesday after that and the Wednesday after that. And then you're actually going to make it harder for yourself to do that task. And you're going to also make it unpleasant, damn unpleasant, right? So, this idea of choosing your attitude is something that is within your power. So I just really wanted to highlight that. And, neuroscience shows that your brain rewires as you choose new meaning. So it creates new pathways toward calm and confidence when you begin to exercise this freedom. And, this is not some fake positivity, it's actually mature emotional strength. You control the meaning, not the chaos.
Right. I mean, that's the big thing there is you control the meaning how you respond is within your control. Everything else, whether it's chaos or not, that's not within your control, right? So when the storms rage, what's our true nature, right? Are you still kind? Are you still honest? Are you courageous? And this is psychological flexibility, staying true to your values, even under the pressure. It's the foundation of acceptance and commitment therapy.
Yeah, Thich Nhat Hanh said, peace is not the absence of affliction, but the presence of mindfulness. So when you embody that, you're living aligned. And
Mhm.
science confirms that. Those who align actions with their values report higher life satisfaction and resilience. I've seen this in working with clients where, I was recently working with someone who's seen a lot of hardship. She's experienced a lot of heartache, a lot of difficult situations and people in her existence. Um, but it hasn't changed who they are, right?
Mhm.
They've stayed true to their values. They haven't allowed the outer circumstances to change who they are. And that's real mastery, and it's a skill. And one of the things that we were working on was the acknowledgement of the fact that, this strength and resilience resides in them. And that's not always the case, but it is, again, something that we can all cultivate, that being in alignment, staying in alignment with the truth of who we are, and staying true to our values.
All right. I think that even when life's wild, that inner compass that you have, that can keep you steady and fulfilled. And sometimes some of us, we need a lot of, you know, like deep breathing in order to reset our compass so that we're steady, right? And it's the combination of the the biology, the deep breaths, but it's also your thinking, how you see things. It's not something's not bad and something's not good. It's you look at them and you say, what is my attitude? How am I going to work through this? Because it's not bad or it's not, and it's not good. It's how we interpret it. Again, it's the meaning that we give the chaos.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people stop at why me, but the empowering question is, how do I respond? That's your edge. That's where your power lies. Every mindful choice that you make rewires your brain, and it can make resilience your new normal, right?
Right. And I feel like there's a lot of hope in that message that we don't stay the same. Our brain has the capability to rewire. We have the capability of seeing things differently. And that can give us a lot of hope to say, the things that I'm seeing, if I shift how I'm seeing them, that means that I change and how I interact with this changes. And so I get a different outcome. But if you keep seeing the things the same way, then there is no solution. And in order for you to have your power, it's like, the question that you ask, it's not why did this happen? It's, what can I do about what's happened? Um, again, you become a headland on a biological level, steady, no matter what the storm is.
Mm-hmm. So let's share some daily practices that build that headland resistance. So when stress hits, pause and take 3 deep nasal breaths and silently say, I am steady. Take a breath and say that as many times as you need to kind of get yourself back online, to like lower that the reactivity. Keep a journal. Write one tough moment and how you stayed present or were able to reframe it. And then ask yourself every night, did I live aligned with kindness, courage, and honesty today? Whatever your values are, whatever you want to hold on to, that you don't want to let life shift out of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then practice a daily mindfulness moment. Even 2 minutes of having a mindfulness practice, whether it's your breath or another anchor, can really reset your nervous system and leave you feeling much more empowered and ready for whatever's next.
I just want to add that something that you and I both do with our clients. If tapping can add to this daily practice when you're taking that deep breath. I love, and it's helped me to reset myself. Doing the tapping, even if you only do one tapping point, if you tap right under your nose, that's a governing meridian while you're taking those deep breaths. It it happens a little faster, and I know we both love teaching our clients how to use tapping before things escalate, before they get misaligned. They can have a practice of tapping. And we just want to leave you with this one quote: "You're not the wave; you're the rock beneath it. So let the water rise. You know how to stand." So stay steady, friends. We're walking the journey with you. We've been on the journey, and we welcome you to the journey of resetting to that calm.
Absolutely. And we'll see you again on Thursday. And if you know anyone who would benefit from this message, share it with them.